Breaking news. Please stand by for another C2C World News Now current event. Hello, today is Wednesday, and this is the 21st day of September 2016.
We begin with breaking news tonight amid reports that Apple has approached the race car manufacturer McLaren over a potential investment or takeover. Apple has been trying to develop a driverless car for more than 2 years, while Woking-based McLaren makes high-performance supercars as well as owning its own F1 team. Apple told us it does not comment on rumours or speculation, while McLaren said, "We can confirm that McLaren is not in discussion with Apple in respect of any potential investment. As you would expect, the nature of our brand means that we regularly have confidential conversations with a wide range of parties, but we keep them confidential." You'll notice, however, that the statement doesn't deny they've been approached by Apple. Well, Tim Bradshaw is one of the two Financial Times journalists who broke the story this evening, and he joins us live from San Francisco via Skype. So, Tim, it looks very much as though they were holding talks, but they may not be now. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, our understanding is that the discussions started over the summer about, as you say, a potential takeover or strategic investment, and the deal could value McLaren at more than £1 billion. But Apple has, since the summer, undergone a few changes in its car project. We reported a couple of weeks ago that they laid off dozens of employees, particularly those focused on the part that makes the sort of engineering part of a car, to focus on the autonomous systems, the kind of the software underneath, if you like. So there's been a change in leadership in the Apple team this year. Steve Sadesky, who was leading it for the last couple of years, left in January. He was replaced by Bob Mansfield, who is an Apple veteran and a guy who's known for getting things done. And he's been sort of putting his own mark on that team. Obviously, all of this is done confidentially and under wraps, as every new Apple product is. But it may be that the acquisition or investment talks are just on hold while they figure out what the new strategy is going to be.
Now, it was interesting. Apple were being linked a while ago with a takeover bid for Tesla, whose shares are actually down on the back of your story. What is it about McLaren you think that's caught Apple's eye?
I mean, a lot of people have speculated of a tie-up with Tesla. They're the obvious candidate because they don't have a legacy business of, any kind of petrol cars. And Apple, which is always very keen to bolster its environmental credentials, would very much be looking at an electric vehicle here. So I guess Tesla these days, despite the share price, is worth many tens of billions of dollars, whereas McLaren would be a lot cheaper, but has a lot of the same kind of expertise. And there's a long history of car technology starting in Formula One and percolating down to production cars. That some of the carbon fiber materials that you're now seeing electric vehicles like BMW's i3 made of actually started in the 80s on the racetrack. And so there's a lot of engineering, a lot of technology, a lot of intellectual property. And I guess the Formula One racing team has a little brand sexiness, which Apple's never reversed to either.
And do you think, Tim, that they could lure McLaren back to the negotiating table? I mean, Ron Dennis, that runs McLaren, is obviously a formidable businessman in his own right. Do you think he's just holding out for a higher price, or is it more to it than that?
Well, there's always a lot of brinkmanship in these kinds of negotiations. I think the ball's really in Apple's court. There's not that many targets that they could acquire that would have that sort of range of expertise, as I said, without a sort of legacy petrol car business that they would acquire. I find it unlikely to see that they would want to kind of work with buying Ford or something like that. But equally, it's not really in Apple's style to just make the software for someone else's hardware. I don't know if they would want to do the kind of deal that we've seen Google and Uber do with traditional automakers. It may be that they will partner with somebody like there've been talks with BMW and some of the other German automakers, but I bet that Apple's going to make a car of its own eventually. It just may take some years, and whether they do that with McLaren's help or not, I'm sure it'll happen eventually.
All right, Tim Bradshaw from the FT. Great story. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
This has been a C2C World News Now current event. Stay safe, everyone.